Hey everybody, welcome to another game of War Machine. I'm Lightem'up here. Got a battle report between my buddies Skorne and my Skorne, so we're going to have a little Skorne off. Basically, Makeda 3 is thinking that Zaadesh is getting a little too high on the horse for her liking, and she wants to go put a beat down on him. So her and her Exalted Court are going to be bringing up Mammoth, Molik Karn, Titan Gladiator, some Beast Handlers, and a max unit of Karax. Not a horrible list. Obviously, Makeda 3 has that spell that you can put on the Mammoth to give him grievous wounds, which is pretty baller. And then, into Skorne, it's my buddy actually said he didn't know, he never plans for Skorne because even though he plays it, he just doesn't really plan for it. You don't see it too often. But on my side, I've got Zaadesh 2 doing my Beast loadout. I got the Aradus Soldier, 2 Titan Sentries, 2 Cyclops Brutes, Titan Gladiator for the Rush Anarchs, a maximum unit of Beast Handlers, Swamp Gobbers, and then the Karax maximum with the command attachment. And I gotta say, the command attachment is probably the perfect command attachment in the game because he is not essential to the unit, but he is good with certain casters, which is exactly where I think a command attachment should be. I love having him with Zaadesh 2 because you can put Invulnerable Resolve on him if you need to, and it also gives you 2 extra guys for the feet, and it's pretty, or well, I guess 1 extra guy for the bodies, but pretty good list. And we'll get into the battle report. Alright, so I won the roll to go first and chose to go first, and my opponent decided to put me on this side with the forests. You see that I have 3 forests on my side, which really bottlenecks my infantry, and whatever beast does not have rush on it and is not a soldier, Aradus Soldier, into those 2 little canals. So my plan going into this one is I'm trying to get the Karax up the into the upper, what we'll call the upper canal between the forests, and my beasts are going to go towards that lower canal, with Zaadesh sort of in the middle so that he can go either way depending on what is needed. Having only that 12-inch control range means that he can basically, he can't cover the whole board, so he's got to really decide where he wants to go. You see in my list I went ahead and took the fuel cache objective because those clouds, that Swamp Gobbers, and then Zaadesh's clouds himself, I can really get that good cloud wall going if needed. This game I decided to just protect a little bit of my stuff. I only put out the 1 cloud this turn. I decided not to close it off with the other cloud because I wanted to get Invulnerable Resolve up. I've got Invulnerable Resolve up on the red Sentry there, the one that's at the bottom part of the screen, and I've got Battle Charged up on Zaadesh. So he is sitting with no Fury, which is not really that big of a deal in this this early in the game. So on my opponent's turn, he did a couple pre-measuring, make sure he doesn't go into counter charge range with his Karax. I don't even think they could run into the counter charge range, but just in case, he trampled up with his Mammoth and put up counter blast so that he can take a ranged or ranged or melee attack if something ends its movement within 6 inches of him. And then she being Makeda 3 is, I don't believe she puts out any of her spells this turn. Maybe Hand of Death. I think she puts out Hand of Death onto either herself or the Mammoth. I'm not certain. I believe it's on herself. And then Molik Karn is kind of walking up. You just saw him move. He's actually behind the Mammoth and to the Mammoth's right. Alright, so on to turn 2. Time to get to the actual game. But I want to see if I can get a Cloud Gobber cloud up to connect with that middle forest. You'll see me doing a little bit of pre-measuring here, see which Karax can get into his Karax. There I'm trying to see if I can get that cloud right there. That's where I'm going to see if I can, that's where I would want it to be. Because if I can do that, I can send the Karax in on a charge order, send 2 or 3 of them in to take out a couple of his Karax, keep the other 7 or 8 back, and block off line of sight completely to them with the Gobber wall, or the Gobber cloud. Unfortunately, there is going to be a slight sliver. Even after all that pre-measuring, I spent a little bit of time doing that. So I send in 3 guys, end up charging into his Karax. The other 2 run over, 1 contests, and the other one is just kind of not contesting. I don't really know why I put him over there. And then I end up putting 1 in the way of the Gobbers, so the cloud comes even further from the forests. And they do pop their mini feat this turn. So Iron Zeal on the Karax, that is a fantastic ability. The +3 armor, the no knockdown, immune to stationary, very good. Obviously immune to stationary doesn't matter in this game, but it can be important. It also allows me to be able to charge or run without having to worry about shield wall, and it gives them only 1 less armor than normal. So they're going to be like armor 18. They managed to take out, I think they managed to take out one, maybe not take out any of their opposing Karax. You see the Cyclops Brute at the bottom of the table. He ran up just to be annoying, get into combat with the Mammoth and engage a couple of those Karax down there. And then the Cyclops Brute, now in the middle of the board, ran up to tow that cloud so that he can be a counter charge bot if something goes up to try to jam up my big beasts. And I did put down 2 clouds this time. I do have the Titan Sentry in one cloud, the Cyclops Brute in the other cloud, just towing it so they can see through it. And they're just they just position themselves for potential counter charges. I did not pop my feet this turn. I want to save it for a more important turn. I prefer to use it for the offensive ability. I think using it for a defensive ability might be a trap in a lot of cases, and it's not as important defensively. I mean, it's good defensively, but I think it's much more important to get offensive benefit out of his feet. Because you pop it just defensively, I mean, basically your opponent can just leave you alone, and that might score you 1 control point, but that probably won't win you the game most of the time. So my opponent, being very particular, making sure he's very clean. He plays a very clean game most of the time. I don't think I've ever seen him. He is more willing to lose on clock than to cheat you. So he'll take all the time in the world to measure out things, which is fantastic. But he gave his Tycom gave Makeda the press forward, or the push to the limit, so she could walk I think 8 inches. And she went up and she started doing some kills and overtakes, and ended up failing to kill the one Karax, and then her bodyguard failed to kill him as well. So that one dude that's sitting there with Makeda 3 and the Exalted court member just staring him down, taking it off his armor. Thanks to the mini feat, by the way. So yeah, she needed like 4s or 5s or something to kill him with the mini feat, so that was good for me. So his Karax went ahead and they did get a shield wall order this time. One of them will get countercharged by the Brute, but the Brute won't hit because Mat 5 needs a 9 to hit it. But so they shield walled and moved up to be annoying to stop some counter charges from my 2 big bugs. One of them is kind of in the way of the Brute, or sorry, of the Mammoth. So he's trying to see where he needs to go, or if he can get around that, get the Mammoth around the Brute, the Karax. Unfortunately, he cannot. So ends up taking a free strike from the Brute to clear it up instead. And I feel just fine taking free strikes to clear up his lanes. He actually ended up putting another Karax in the way, not realizing that, and he was planning on trying to get the Mammoth up to kill both the Bug and the Titan Sentry, but because of where one of those Karaxes is placed, he was only able to get one of the heavies, and he didn't feel that was worth it. So instead, he went ahead and killed off that Cyclops Brute there at the bottom. So that's good for me. He exclaimed at the end of this turn that, well, he just lost this game. I don't know about that. It's, you know, capitalizing off mistakes is hard to do when you're as poor of a player as I am. But we're going to go into my turn here. My turn 3. I did not score a point on that turn because I was not in the zone. So what we're going to do now, this is definitely going to be a feat turn. I'm going to get it. I plan to get a lot of work done. You see me putting down some proxy bases on where I want to get stuff at. That right there, that proxy base is where I want the Brute to go. I plan on Zaadesh. So the plan right now is to have Zaadesh clear off the Brute, pop his feet, put Rush onto the Titan Sentry that's right next to Zaadesh, send the Brute up to kill the Beast Handlers that are blocking the Bug, rush the Bug with the Gladiator, send both heavies into the Mammoth. That is the plan. Unfortunately, I completely forget what I was going to do as I was making my attacks, and instead, for some reason, I rushed the blue Sentry with the Gladiator, didn't rush anything with Zaadesh, and just kind of walked up with the blue Sentry. So yeah, that was weird. I didn't even realize it at this point. I have not yet realized that my two heavies cannot get to his Mammoth. You'll see me measuring or doing some lasers to see if I can get the bug to the Mammoth still. And while the road will be clear after the Brute kills off a couple of those beast handlers, he kills off 3 of them I believe, I then go ahead and measure and realize, oh, he only has an 8-inch threat. And the Sentry doesn't have Pathfinder, so he can't get over that wall. So instead, I wasted my feet. You know how I said I wanted to get my feet a lot of offensive force out of it? Yeah, that didn't happen. Yep. So the Sentry just walks up, puts up Ornery, and takes that corner of my zone so that he can protect the corner of the zone. The Karax will go in and they'll get a couple charges into the objective, with a few of them being under my feet. I think 1 or 2 of them charges into a Karax, an opposing Karax. I end up doing not insignificant damage to the objective. I think I leave it on 2 hit points. Yep, there's 2 hit points. And then I did not kill the Karaxes that I charged into. So I got the Swamp Gobbers over there contesting his zone off on the far side. I've got a couple Karaxes in the zone, but nothing significantly heavy in that zone. I do score 1 control point, so good for me on that. And then we're on to my opponent's turn. Alright, so my opponent's turn 3. This is definitely going to be a feat turn for Makeda. I mean, she's just going to go and begin murdering those Karax in the zone. If you've never seen a Makeda 3 feat turn, which if you don't play a lot of Skorne, I don't know why you would, but she can just like lawnmower through infantry. She has overtake, and she has her feat allows her to lose a fury or gain a fury or something like that. I think gain a fury. She does take a couple defensive strikes though, which is nice for me. I believe I do 6 points of damage to her doing the defensive strikes, which is not an insignificant amount. She only has like 15 hit points. But yeah, I end up doing quite a bit of damage with the defensive strikes from the feet. And then she just keeps lawnmowing her way through people. And she keeps pushing. She gets down to the last Karax that's in the zone, and she's too far away from the Gobbers, so she decides to throw an Eliminator at one Gobber. Or sorry, she kills off the Karax that's not in the zone just to be spiteful, I guess. Throws an Eliminator at one Gobber, misses, deviates perfectly to hit both Swamp Gobbers, and gets a 4-inch move off of that. Fortunately for me, that 4-inch move brings her into countercharge range of the Sentry, who is not engaged by the enemy beast handler, and the Sentry goes ahead and misses. But I do now have a heavy in the zone, which will prevent her from scoring easily. She'll have to try to engineer some way of getting Molik Karn over there or something. But it would have been really good. Had I hit her, she would have been able to transfer it, but that would have been a significant amount of damage. So up next, he's trying to figure out a way to get... he did put up a Vortex of Destruction with Makeda after I missed my counter charge attack. And he's trying to see if he can get the bug engaged with that beast handler. Unfortunately, the beast handler can't get close enough to my Aradus Soldier to engage him without taking a free strike from the Brute. And at Mat 7 against defense 13, a free strike, he's going to hit pretty reliably. Instead, he moves around the rest of his beast handlers, trying to find a position where they can be useful and out of the way. Not an insignificant thing, since we both have had position errors this game. Enrages his Mammoth, and walks Molik Karn over to the Sentry, staying in the Brute's melee. he will get a defensive strike from the Brute, and a defensive strike from the Sentry, and a counter charge from the Soldier. And end up doing, after he makes me reroll 2 or 3 times, I believe he made me reroll 2 times, ends up doing quite a bit of damage, but not blowing any aspects. So, anyone who thinks that counter charge may or may not be necessary on certain turns with Zaadesh 2, or that might not be a key to his battle plan, you are wrong. You're just flat wrong. Zaadesh 2, battle charged every single turn. Does not matter if you think you're going to need it or not. Unless Zaadesh 2 is the only model on the board, you probably want to have battle charged up. It's just too important. At the very least, it makes your opponent think about what he can or cannot do. And that is just too important to the game. But back to this game, he ended up blowing, I believe, the mind of the Sentry, of the Soldier, and was unable to get the Mammoth close enough to finish off the Soldier. So the Mammoth moves up and starts beating on the Invulnerable Resolved Sentry, and ends up blowing, I think, his body with the Sentry there. And now you see me putting down the tokens down there on those beasts. That reminds me to heal those guys. Pro tip, remember to heal your beasts. It helps. Alright, and then he attempted to get something into my zone to contest it, but the thing took a free strike and just died. So it'll be 2-0 Skorne right now. And we're on to my turn 4. So hopefully we can close this out. I've got Makeda in the melee range of the Sentry, who will just boost a headbutt into her and knock her down. Ends up doing 6 or 7 points of damage to her. The follow-up swing she had to transfer that one away. And then I got 2 Karax charges into her. One was unable to charge due to the angles, and the other one was able to get a full charge in. End up doing a few more points of damage. I think I leave her with 3 hit points thanks to her transfers. Due to the angles and all the bodies that are in the way, I'm unable to get the Soldier into finish her off, and she is going to get another turn, which just is really shitty. So she is going to get another turn, and so instead I try to put as much damage as I can into her beasts. I believe the Sentry, the Soldier starts beating on Molik Karn, and there goes Molik Karn. And then just ate a couple of beast handlers and maybe a Karax or 2 that were in the way. I went ahead and just went all out on Fury this turn. Not really caring if stuff frenzies next turn. The Sentry got enraged and moved up and started beating on the Mammoth, trying to show his daddy what's up. And after all 3 Fury, didn't do an awful lot of damage to him. I think I maybe took out 1 Spiral. And then the Gladiator just moves into position. So it's going to be 3-0 Skorne. And I'm trying to close out this game. He's got, I think, 1 model that can get into the zone. His Gladiator and his Mammoth both frenzied, so he does not have any beasts that can do anything this turn, which is great for me. The only model he has that can get into the zone is that little beast handler that is currently engaged by my Sentry, and is going to have to take a free strike from that Sentry to get to the zone. Fortunately for him, the Sentry still needs like a 5 to hit him. Or 4 or something like that. 6. I don't know. Anyway, missed. And then was able to put himself in a position where Zaadesh couldn't countercharge because of the cloud, and the Gladiator couldn't countercharge because of 2-inch reach. So he's going to be able to contest my zone this turn, so that kind of sucks for me. But Makeda keeps up, or puts back up the Vortex of Destruction and starts wailing on my Sentry. Both her and the Karax that are left and the Tycom wail all up on the Sentry, and I think a couple of them were only able to attack the Soldier, so they were killing those. I believe the Tycom killed off that Karax there. So here goes Makeda. She puts up the Vortex. You'll see my Sentry's health bars there on my phone, and they're just going to start going bye-bye after we figure out whether or not she keeps battle driven for the round or whether it was triggered last turn, or we kind of figure that out a little bit. But there goes some more points, and she keeps beating on the soldier, or the Sentry, sorry, and ends up leaving the Sentry with 2 hit points. At this point, the Extoller Soulward, who's on the other side of the building, boosts a shot into the soldier to attempt to kill off the soldier, and ends up missing. We randomly roll for who it's going to hit, and it hits Makeda. And she is out of transfers, so that just killed her. This will be a victory to Skorne, obviously, but it'll be a victory to Zaadesh, and way to go. Good job, Zaadesh. It was a great game. My opponent, I thought it was pretty funny because he said he never plans for what to drop into Skorne because it's Skorne, and like there's only 2 or 3 of us that play it in the St. Louis area. But the 2 of us, me and him, that we always come to the tournaments, so I was like, you should probably plan for that. But he doesn't know if Makeda 3 is really what he wants to throw into Skorne. He doesn't know if he wants to keep a Gladiator with Mammoth with Makeda 3. I don't know. I'm thinking about trying out a Mammoth with Zaadesh too, but my Mammoth isn't done being painted yet. I might give it a shot. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below, or if you want to go on Facebook and go on my page on Lightem'up, feel free to start a discussion on there. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully the errata comes out here in like a week or 2. I'm really excited. If you guys saw the errata, obviously you saw the errata for every other faction. I thought it was pretty much good changes. Had a couple issues with some, but I'm not going to go over them here. Feel free to hit me up on the Facebook page or on the forums, and I will see you all next week. Oh, shout out, if you guys are going to be going to the Las Vegas Open 2017, February 3rd through the 5th, also known as Super Bowl weekend, at Bailey's Hotel in Las Vegas. I will be there. Plan on coming, staying the whole time. I'll be there a couple days before and a couple days after. Hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on here. Let me know if you guys are going to be there. I'd love to get some games in with people. I will be playing, hopefully, in some Masters qualifiers. Probably the Iron Gauntlet on Friday. And then if everything goes well, the War Machine Weekend qualifier on Sunday, although, you know, we all know how that goes. So, alright guys, have a good week. I will see you later. And if you're watching this before January 1st, have a Happy New Year.